Hello, and welcome to Right Here, Right Queer. I'm your host for today, RK Ashwick, here with Sebastian Nothwell.
Hello.
And Noah Hawthorne.
Hi.
And today we are going to gab about second chance romance. All right, who can tell me what this trope is?
As I understand it, second chance romance is when the characters, having missed out on the first attempt, get a second chance at their happily ever after. But I do have some clarifying questions.
Oh, what are the clarifying questions?
Are we including missed connections, unacted upon crushes, or one-night stands? Or does a second chance romance require a committed relationship that is broken off before we may consider it the characters reuniting?
I think that it is more interesting if you include the broader sub-variations. I think when I traditionally think of it, I think of like people who were in a committed relationship, something went wrong, and now they have kind of like a chance, they're thrown back together or something like that. But I really like all the things that you just listed. So, yeah. Noah, do you disagree?
I like all of the things listed. The only thing I would say is maybe like not misconnections. To me, second chance implies that there was like substance the first time around. Misconnections, like, I'm not sure if I know the definition correctly, but to me, misconnections is like an in passing thing. Or is it like deeper than that? I'm not really sure.
I think the strict dictionary definition would be just like an in-passing thing, you're right.
I still like that as a micro trope, though.
Yeah.
Our missed connections episode coming soon.
I was going to say, maybe we won't discuss it here, but table that for later. Well, cool. I mean, yeah, and I agree with like the very basic definition that you already put out there. So what is the draw of this trope? What do we love about it? Like, why do we write it? Why do we read it? And what does it need to be successful?
What I love about this trope is that it rhymes.
That was not what I was expecting you to say, but you're also, again, not wrong.
I also think it gives you the ultimate fantasy of getting another shot at making things right. You know you messed up, but like in this fantasy world, the characters get one more go now that they have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. And also, I think it has high angst potential, which I'm quite fond of.
Yes.
100%.
It gives kind of an innate obstacle for the characters to overcome to make their romance happen. Whereas, like, in a lot of contexts, it can perhaps be a struggle to come up with reasons why these people can't be instantly together. And, like, if they've already broken up once, that's a pretty good reason why they're not instantly back together. Like, there's clearly some stuff that needs to be worked out.
I think that that obstacle, I feel like it's most natural if it hinges on character growth.
Yeah.
Which is what you want in a story anyway. And so it just like dovetails nicely with a character needing to grow in order for them to succeed.
Very much so.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it sets up for that angst and the character development, which are like two of my favorite things. And it's not like I don't want to say it's not an insta-love situation, but I don't know. I like obstacles. Jump through all of these hoops and yearn and slow burn for me, please.
Yes.
You can also do it both ways, where this person sees their ex for the first time in who knows how long, and either they like pretend that they don't have any feelings anymore, or they do feel all of those feelings, and that follows into the angst that Sebastian was talking about. It's like the ghost of that relationship can hit you in multiple ways, depending on kind of how you want to pace out that relationship, which is also pretty delightful.
Hell yeah.
But Sebastian, I'm surprised you didn't mention groveling. I don't think you can have like a successful second chance romance without, I mean, like you were saying, really showing that like you have changed, you can make this work, you know, you were a different person than when you either broke up before or you last encountered the other person. And I think that particularly if there was something that somebody else did wrong, when that first relationship fell apart, I just feel like groveling needs to be a part of it.
Groveling is a very good part of it, and I do love groveling oh so much, but I feel like a second chance romance doesn't necessarily require that someone involved in the relationship directly has done something wrong that requires a grovel to make up for, because like it can always be just like right person, wrong time.
That's true.
Like the circumstances of their lives could have significantly altered in the time that they've been apart, and also like there could be external barriers that have since been removed.
That's also true. Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, I am thinking of one example where it is like that.
Is it the example I'm thinking of?
No, definitely not. Oh my God. We'll get to that part where Sebastian and I definitely have the same book on our recommendation list. At one point, it was the only book on our recommendation list because we're doing great. Is there anything else that is a part of Second Chance from us that we feel needs to be there for it to pay off emotionally?
I was just wondering, like, so what if you're like really connected platonically, not necessarily romantically, and then there's a second chance to become romantic? Does that count? Or is that just an extended friends to lovers situation?
Oh.
I was going to call that extended friends to lovers, unless there was like a moment where like you kissed your friend and kind of left, there was like a lingering romantic question, maybe?
Yep.
I think if it's going purely from platonic in the past to romantic in the future, that's probably more friends to lovers.
Unless there were certain societal barriers that prevented the relationship from becoming more that have since been removed.
That is true. Yeah, I think it's all in how you set up what happened in the past, I think.
Okay.
I don't know about needs to be there to make it work, but some genres I feel like work particularly well with second chance romance are historical romance, particularly like Regency or Victorian, because the social constraints make certain relationships impossible and create legitimate barriers that may require multiple attempts to overcome. And also queer romance, because, again, social constraints make certain relationships almost impossible and create legitimate barriers that may require multiple attempts to overcome.
Yeah. Yup.
Because, like, many queer folks have lived experience of having to date in secret for the first part of their dating life or sometimes all their lives because one or all of the people in the relationship are not out of the closet yet. And this stress often dissolves these relationships and provides an opportunity to reconnect when all parties are out. And I think stories exploring these reconnections can also be particularly cathartic for a queer audience for these same reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with all of that. I was going to say one thing that makes second chance romance very satisfying to read is getting flickers of how these people used to interact in a more positive way in the past. Like if you get a sense, like if they used to be working together and they worked well together in the past, you know, how do we get little like bits and pieces of that? Or if they were really good at banter in their previous relationship, how do you see that start to like flicker in? Part of that journey from them going to exes to lovers or whatever they were to lovers, that's part of the fun for me. And if that's not there, I don't want it.
Absolutely agreed.
So alternatively, what can go wrong with this trope? Where can we go astray?
There are so many ways.
I feel like it's kind of related to our miscommunication one in a way where if whatever breaks them up or keeps them from being together the first time is not a good enough reason or obstacle, then it kind of makes the whole thing pointless. Kind of a deal. Like the obstacles need to be real. And if there's that much feeling between them, then whatever's keeping them apart has to be relevant, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Conversely, if what's kept them apart is a bit too real, it may be impossible to reasonably overcome.
True.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I would say a corollary to that is kind of like what I was saying earlier, like if the issue is that there needs to be any kind of like character growth or personal change, and if they don't convincingly do that, but then they still get together at the end, you're just kind of like, oh, you guys shouldn't be together. Like I can't root for this if you're not, you know, properly kind of justifying that arc.
Exactly. That is the bulk of my disappointment with so many of these. It's just like, I don't know that you should get back together.
Yeah, for a lot of romance in general, like there has to be enough for you to root for these people to get together. Despite their flaws, you have to be like, yeah, I can see it. Like even, you know, with all this stuff going on, they mesh. Like the chemistry has to be there. That chemistry that's a holdover from their previous relationship, which is like, you know, the most delicious part. Yeah, if it's not clicking, the whole thing just falls apart.
Yeah.
You know what just hit my brain? Is reincarnation trope.
Oh.
Does that tie into second chance romance?
It's
Oh.
gotta.
I feel like it does. I feel like even if you like it's one of those scenarios where you don't remember who you are or whatever, I feel like that's still second chance because eventually they always remember, right? Or they're somehow made aware of the fact that they used to be in love before or were connected before, kind of a thing.
Oh, that is delicious.
Yeah, there's still a past. There's still obstacles. It is juicy, just in a different way. Anything else that can go wrong with this trope?
At the risk of repeating myself, for me, it all depends on the reason the initial relationship dissolved. Because, like, if the barriers are external and those barriers have since been removed, I find it a lot easier to believe that these characters can make it work if given a second chance. And sometimes I can get behind internal barriers, particularly if it's a question of coming to terms with your own gender or sexuality. If the character in question has since made peace with who they truly are and is moving forward with honesty and integrity, I can root for their romance. But, like, if the initial romance dissolved because of a transgression by one or more of the characters involved, things get trickier, and it depends on the nature of the transgression and the efforts made to grow and change, grovel and make amends. And
Keyword.
as mentioned in our groveling episode, I do like a character who has genuinely fucked up.
Uh-huh.
I like when they have to work to put things right again, but so few characters actually put in the work.
Yeah, it really has to be executed well for it to be rewarding at the end and not just kind of like a little icky where you're like, oh God, I can imagine the couples therapy episodes right now. Like, no, thank you.
So basically, this trope works well when it's written well, and it doesn't work when it's not written well, is, I think, our conclusion.
Our deep conclusion.
You can do a good job by doing it good.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Incredible. We are so smart.
Just be intentional and don't do it just for the sake of it. If you're going to do it, think about why.
Yes. Being intentional can be applied to so many things. In writing, it can apply to world building, it can apply to character creation, backstory creation. Literally, everything is better if you are intentional about it.
Just ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is it just for the trope map? Or am I going to actually,
Yeah, is it actually rewarding and fits into the story? Yeah. So, speaking of doing the trope well, what are some examples of second chance romance that we've enjoyed?
Well, it sounds like you two are chomping at the bit, so I'll let you fight over it.
Sebastian, you could say it.
So, one example that's apparently enjoyed by a lot of people, perhaps even the majority of hosts on this podcast episode,
The quorum, one might say.
is Persuasion by Jane Austen.
Persuasion! It's so good. It's so good.
Anne Elliot and Frederick Wentworth are engaged in their early 20s, but Anne's family disapproves of the match because Frederick is a poor sailor with no title who has not yet earned a promotion, so she breaks it off. And Frederick goes on to have a successful naval career and returns 8 years later as a captain, making him a far more eligible match. And while Anne and Frederick still love each other after all these years, pride and shame contrive to keep them from confessing their feelings, to say nothing of the social constraints of the era, and the bulk of the book is spent with them alternating between moving closer to mending the breach and slipping backward, and eventually Frederick confesses that his feelings are unaltered in what many call the most romantic letter ever penned.
It goddamn is. It's so good. Ugh. It's so, I remember reading, I must have been like in high school or something when I read it for the first time, and I was like, Jesus Christ, what is this book? This is incredible. It's also, this is a bit of a tangent, but, and of course, I don't remember like which version, not the most recent version, of course, but there is a movie version of Persuasion that really leans into the subtext that's required because of the social constraints of the day and how they just cannot speak their feelings. And so it just does really, really well with them talking about one thing and meaning another. And you can tell just from how they're looking at each other that they're trying to like mind meld and figure out like, do you have feelings for me? But everything that they're saying is like about something else. It's amazing. And I like wish that I could do that in my own writing. And I confess that because it's been a while since I've read the book, I don't know how much of that was directly lifted from the book and how much of that was the screenwriter. Either way, incredibly well done. I do recommend it. Of course, do I remember the year or the version? No. So have fun figuring it out. It's one of the older ones, I will say. It is not the long hair 2000 whatever Netflix garbage. It's the older one.
Is it the 1995 one with Kieran Hines?
Oh, that sounds right. I'm totally not looking up what Kieran Hines looks like right now. Yes, that is him. Yes.
Yes, it's so good.
So
the yearning.
It's incredible. Also, the jumping scene will never not be funny to me, and I know that it's not, but it also is.
Here's the thing. My friends and I rewound that like 3 times.
Of course you did.
because it's just very extremely BBC 1990s action editing. And
yes.
Honestly, the BBC's editing their action scenes that way well into the 2000s. But
for the listener who might be unfamiliar,
the dramatic slow-mo. Slow-mo.
There is a scene where somebody gets injured in a very Jane Austen way, where it is kind of a mild injury that really gets blown out of proportion a little bit, or like the consequences are far more severe than they should be.
They always have the most preventable possible accidents.
It really, truly. And yeah, it's just as Sebastian said, it's 90s, it's the BBC. It is filmed exactly how you want it to be filmed. And it's just a little ridiculous. But it's highly devastating for so many characters.
I'm almost scared to admit that I've never read Jane Austen or watched the movies.
None of that?
No.
No.
I was a sheltered child.
Oh my god.
Sheltered. And I have not caught up.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you ever want to do a movie night, I am so down.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I'm sure everyone.
Listeners, you're all invited too. Bring the popcorn. We're gonna watch Persuasion.
We're shutting this recording down and we're going to watch.
All right, well, we'll have to table the conversation on which version of Pride and Prejudice we watch as well. And one could argue which version of Sense and Sensibility too. But we've gone so far from second chance romance. Yes, Persuasion is probably like the classic example, I would say. One of the more recent ones that I've read was The Ex-Hex, Aaron Sterling, The Ex-Hex. And that one was nice. It's very like small town magic Gilmore Girl vibes.
Oh.
But the titular ex-hex, the whole part of their breakup is like the direct reason as to like why they end up forced back together, which is kind of nice. It's not just like, oh, something random pulls her back into town. It's like very much connected. And I mean, those vibes, it's like contemporary, I guess one would call it paranormal romance. It's like cozy fantasy-ish. It's in that realm, but I found it to be fun.
Hell yeah.
Noah, do you have any examples that you would want to talk about?
I have 3.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer. This is supposed to be YA. It absolutely ripped my heart out and gave me existential dread. So I don't know about that.
Okay.
It's 2 boys alone in space, and I can't really say why it's second chance without giving away spoilers, but it's like second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th chances. And it's one of those books that really stays with you for a long time. It's really good, and it just really makes you think about, I don't know if humanity is the right word, but just like your soul and as a person and your connection with other people and how that may or may not change no matter how many times you meet, kind of a thing. So it's really good. I listened to the audiobook and highly, highly recommend it, especially in audio.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, I cried a bit. I'm not gonna lie. The other one is Solomon's Crown by Natasha Siegel. It is that in 12th century Europe, it's between King Philip of France and well, he's not king yet, but Richard from England.
Oh.
And it's historical fiction. Yes. So it's very much second chance romance. To me, it is. I mean, there's a lot of coming together, being pulled apart over the years, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that it really fits. Like, they can't be together because of who they are and their countries and their stations, but they kind of find these stolen moments and take what they can get, I guess. And I really like the take on this part in history. Have you heard of it, Sebastian?
Oh, yes.
Like the book or the story? Like the history?
Both. I'm a huge fan of the film The Lion in Winter, so Philip and Richard are familiar to me.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
And then the last one is Reforged by Seth Haddon. This is between a paladin and a newly appointed king, basically. Like, so the king was like the fifth son. He was never supposed to be a king, and him and Balin used to like kind of be together back in the day when they were both younger. But then Balin started moving up in the Paladin order, and Zagreus had his own duties, so they separated. They couldn't be together anymore because of their station and their duties. And then Zagreus' whole family died, so being the fifth son, all of a sudden he's the king. He never expected to be that, and now Balin has to protect him. He's his direct bodyguard, so they're brought back together again, and there's this whole plot mystery thing, and they kind of decide to say, fuck it. We're just gonna decide to be together. It's not like that, but there's a lot of development and just questioning of how you want to live your life and what you're going to let dictate it, kind of a thing. And I guess there's actually like a prequel kind of novella thing that's of them the first time when they were younger, and that's called Crucible.
Oh, well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, Gary actually narrated Reforged, so Gary Furlong for the win.
Yeah. Very nice. We love a Gary Furlong mention.
Reforged is such a perfect title for a second chance romance.
Isn't it?
It really is.
And then Crucible for the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Yes.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with that. Dang. Do we have any second chance romance in our own work?
Okay, well, it depends.
All right.
This just kind of ties back to my earlier questions because, like, so in the Phantom and Rook adventures in Levina Worlds, soulmates are a really big deal. They're like a magical thing, there's soul marks, whatever. And the two main characters met previously, like decades ago, and they had this connection. They were never romantically involved, but they are soulmates, and they didn't know it at the time, but they were very much like, if things had not pulled them apart, they would have ended up together, kind of a deal. So then, fast forward to now, they end up having their second chance at being together. So, I don't know. I guess you would have to kind of decide for yourself whether that counts.
I think it counts.
Yeah.
The listener can disagree, but I like it.
If you disagree, contact us on social media.
Yeah, comment on our Instagram.
At Right Here, Right Queer Podcast.
Yes. I love the energy. It's fine if you disagree. It means you care.
Yes.
And then for Voice of Wild Places, it's kind of like childhood friends. We made promises to be together and things were going places, but then we got torn apart and now we're older and thrown together onto this adventure and we get our second chance to be together. So again, they were not really romantically like involved. They were going places, but then they got separated. So up to your discretion.
I think both of those are juicy in very different ways. And I appreciate it.
I would agree.
What about you, Becca?
I do have one. So it's The Stray Spirit. That's the first in the Lute Song series. Emery and Cal were previously dating. Their opposing goals ended up kind of creating a rift in their relationship. Cal ended up moving to a different city, while Emery stays behind and tries to achieve his dreams of becoming a bard that is part of the Auric Guild, which is just a very, like, if you've made it into the guild, you've made it. You're a famous musician. You're doing great. Cal is a scholar. She did not want to stay in the city. She wanted Emery to come with her as she continued her studies. With those opposing goals, they ended up separating them. She is then back in the city, attending a guest lecture, while Emery is still trying to achieve his dreams, has not made it yet. And they end up getting thrown back together when a forest spirit gets stuck in Emery's lute, and Emery goes, I have no idea what to do with this. My lute is now talking. I need to find someone smarter than me to figure this out. And my ex-girlfriend is back in town. And so they end up having to solve this problem together. Emery gets closer and closer to achieving his dreams. There's a lot of them kind of facing what they last said to each other, what they actually want out of life. Their relationship grows again as they are working together with Aspen the forest spirit. And spoilers, because we're talking about second chance romance. They do get together at the end of that book. And then for the rest of the trilogy, they are an established couple.
Hell yeah.
I love that. I loved like the exes or the ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, or divorced. I haven't read like a divorced couple being forced to work together yet, but I think that would be a really fun dynamic. And I think that's like your story is kind of what you think of when you think of second chance.
Yeah, I feel like for a divorced couple, you would have so much history there and just a lot of like bickering. Just because like they know each other so well and there are parts of each other that I think after years of getting to know each other would get on their nerves so much. That's not Emery and Cal, obviously. They were not married. But that's a particular aspect that could be explored with a divorced couple.
Put it in the planner for a later date.
Jotting down for later And finally, if people want to read about second chance romance in your work, or in Sebastian's case, just read your work, where can they find you?
You can find all of my books and my newsletter at my website, sebastiannothwell.com.
You can find all my stuff at neshimapublishing.com.
And you can find Emery and Cal, or just me, I guess, at rkashwick.com or rkashwickbooks on Instagram. And you can find this podcast on Right Here, Right Queer Podcast on Instagram. So if you disagree with anything we said here, or want to confirm that we're really, really smart, you can comment on our posts there. So yeah, have fun with that. And thank you so much for hanging out with us. And hopefully we will be just as insightful on the next episode, and we'll catch you at the next one.
Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with more Right Here, Right Queer.